Welcome everyone. This is the first video of this kind. I'm gonna react to some of my old games. So we had a lot of options. Chat, pick this one. This is me versus IdrA. This is back in 2012. So when IdrA and I were, I guess at our prime, I'm not sure. But this is back when I was actually like, good at the game, even though the gameplay might not be great. That's how it was, Back in the day, we were one of the best, boys. We were one of the best. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube and you enjoy this kind of video, I'll do more reaction. We actually had a lot of games to pick from. Me versus Showtime, Namshar, Nurchio. We can do like something like versus Whitera. I'm talking Nurchio from like 2011 or something like that. So there's a lot of games, and of course you can always leave your suggestions, what players or games you want me to react to. Anyway, let's get into it. So the chat wanted me to have my own commentary, so you're not gonna hear in-game sounds because of that. This is a yikes quality, like this is the max quality. But yeah. Why are you randoming? So for those that don't know, oh, I know what's going on. So this is when I was in NA, because I said Korea is down. So this is when I was in NA in 2012 in the Razor house. I was living with Mr. Bitter and yeah, I remember what we talked about at the house. So IdrA actually visited us at the house and we played a lot of games. So anyway, this is when I was in NA and I was in California living with Rotterdam and Mr. Bitter. And we would, because I was in California, I was practicing on Korean server all the time. And that's why I said, he asked me why am I randoming, and I said because Korea server is down, and on NA it was like I was rank 1 or rank 2 GM together with IdrA, so that's why he asked me. But yeah, this is when, like I said, I was living in NA for about 6 months, and IdrA visited the house. I was hanging out with him. He's actually really, back in the day, he was just like a normal guy. He was super passionate about the game, and of course when he lost he was getting, he would get upset, but in real life he wasn't like that. It's just like the game kind of brought the worst out in him. But yeah, here's like, you can see us talking. This is a ladder game, and you can see like, you probably heard a lot of stories that IdrA was like the devil, and really mean and stuff, but you can see we were we had quite a good, I don't know what you call it, relationship. By the way, this thing Rage Quit TV, this is from the YouTube channel that I'm watching this, so if you want to watch more old games you can check them out, but this is not something I can remove because yeah. And also, it's their YouTube channel, so might as well leave it in there. So yeah, this is where we were discussing like MLG brackets, because I was supposed to go to MLG and NA. And we were joking like, they're hell, and I'm gonna go 1-1-1 every game so I wouldn't die to all in and stuff like that. So the builds that you see here might be like really weird. Hashtag sponsors. Sponsored. The builds that you see might be really weird. By the way, I'm not controlling the observing. This is the guy that's casting, so I can't, change. Was chatting that much normal? I mean, if you meet someone that like I guess. But again, I was practicing a lot with IdrA because I was on NA server, and his words, NA Terrans are trash, and that's why we played a lot. We played best of 7 like almost every single day for a couple of months, and yeah. So you can see the builds are much different. So one of the things I used to love to do is this. You would open in Wings, this is Wings of Liberty. In Wings of Liberty, you had many different openings, and you wouldn't necessarily Reaper expand because Reapers required a tech lab. Reapers were different. So what I would open is like 2 Marines. I remember this build. I would open 2 Marines, and I would just send them across the map, try to kill Overlords. And look, I would have these like abusable spots on certain maps, like in Tomb Valley, where I would put Marine on the low ground, 1 on the high ground, and then like you force the Zerg to make Zerglings. Like, it wasn't amazing, but it's just a thing I did back in the day. And he made 8 Zerglings, which is, not how many you want to make. And by the time he defends that, you can see I have Reactor Hellions on the way. And again, this might be like, you know, today's standard, you might be like, wait, what the hell did you just do? You know, like, why would you do that? But back in the day, I was like, this is when I was rank 1 Grandmaster, so this is like top of the crop. And IdrA was obviously, you know, like the best foreign Zerg player then. So this was peak level. Okay, so I'm going Marauder follow-up with Stim and Hellions. He's getting a Spine. So this is also back in the day when Queens couldn't defend everything. So you actually made a Spine or 2 as a Zerg, like this early in the game. So you wouldn't have to make units and you could fully drone. And another thing you'll see is my CC is much later. But also the Zerg base is much later as well. Because you couldn't just defend everything with Queens. You had to actually like drone up, get a Spine or 2, and then make like a round of links to defend stuff. Yeah, you may not like it, but this is what 2000 peak performance looks like. That's right. You also started with 6 workers, so you'll see like the economy ramps up much slower. So this is me popping off a creep tumor. Oh, and this map, I forgot about this. This map had rocks between your natural and your third, so you actually can't expand to the fast third base. Like, you just can't. You gotta make links, destroy the rocks, and then get to third. And this was normal. Like, some maps, a lot of maps, had a, you know, block third base like this. So I'm trying to check if there's anything on the high ground. I'm not sure if I go for this, but he's trying to like debate me for me to go in. And well, I lose the links. You can get around the rocks though. I mean, yeah, but Queens were bad. So if you like go around the rocks like this, if I still had like 6 Hellions, I can just kill the hatchery. Because how is he gonna defend it? But, you know, I lost my Hellions. Oh yeah, this was the push that was super popular in Wings. You go for Reactor Hellions. Or actually, I'm not sure if it was super popular, but I remember I did it a lot. You go for, like, Stim that you guys saw. Because Stim was faster in Wings. And you go Marauder, like, Hellion push. Look at that micro. Look at that Hellion micro, dude. And you have Stim. So basically, like, the thought process that was back in the day. If there's roaches or spines, you just Stim Marauder them down. If there's lings, you have, you know, you have Hellions. Like, imagine if I had 4 more Hellions that I lost earlier. Like, this is super duper strong, right? So this is a problem. He can't contest this. He's just gonna lose the third. Look, I'm stimming. I'm going be like behind the mineral lines and stuff. He has so many lings, but like he can't do anything. Back in my base, I'm going for +4 barracks, and you might be like, why are you not getting a third? Well, back in the day, when you deny the Zerg third, you're like, well, I don't need to get a third on my own. I just, you know, if the Zerg is on 2 base, I'm fine on 2 base. And it was way more popular to stay on 2 base longer than you would today. Look at that sick creep spread, yeah. The thing is, you couldn't really creep spread. So I sent these Marauders around because I went to drop the Hellions. Which obviously, like, now it's not something I would ever do. I would just stay here forever. But, you know, IdrA sees it. He finds them because he had that Overlord. And yeah, it was way more common to stay on 2 base longer. There wasn't really a need to, like, you know, expand that quickly. Because, yeah, people were much worse at everything. And this is back when I was in Team Empire, and it was obviously in Evil Geniuses. More Hellions coming in, and you might be like, why don't you make Hellbats? Well, Hellbats didn't exist back then. So this was like, I mean, you had 2 playstyles. You had Marine Marauder Siege Tank, or this is something I did, I remember quite a bit versus IdrA, because IdrA was always like very heavy on the Zerglings. So I always like to make Hellions against him because of that. Look at that positioning. Look at that positioning. Beautiful. Beautiful. Popping all the Zerglings. And then I have to retreat. No medevac boost either, by the way. Oh, and this was the era of... Oh yeah, this was the era of infestors. So the meta, the whole meta here was mass Zerglings with 1-1 and then 2-2, get a third, and go infestors as fast as possible, and go into hive for ultras or broodlords. The reason for that is the infestors had instant fungal. If you stim and you get fungal, all your marines die. You can see I'm dropping here and there. That's why I went Hellions, because everyone was doing this. Like mass slaying, and they would also, you might be wondering like, why no Baneling Nest? Because it would slow down the infestors, so they just skip Banes completely, most of the time. Look, I'm dropping 2 places. Dude, dropping 2 places at the same time like this was like this was insane back then. Like this was like, whoa. Dropping at 2 places and like microing and like picking up. Look how much bigger the queens are. Are those queens bigger in size, or am I crazy? They seem like they're huge. The thing is, you can see like our macro was good. It's just that the knowledge of the game, because we're spending money, right? But the knowledge of the game was just not necessarily bad, but people looked at the game from a different light back then, right? Like the gameplay was different. Obviously, if you went back now, you know, you would stomp everyone, even if you're like Master 1 player. But back in the day, these are the strategies that were used, and this is how the meta evolved over time. So these are the infestors. Look at this fungal. Look at that sick drop with 1 Hellion. See that fungal? There's no projectile. It's just like, it's just instant fungal. And it was so strong, and you had to be so careful. If you look at a minimap, I'm already pre-splitting my units so I wouldn't get fungal. And this is something that was like rocket science, because Terran players would have all 3 units clumped up, and they would just get fungaled and lose. But you can see me on creep. I have a couple of units like spread out, and then I'm poking with a few units. And this was like 400 IQ. Did you see that fungal? It stops the units in place. It was so broken. Tanks are better against infestors? No, they're not. No, they're not. With this build, they had insane amounts of links, and you just get overwhelmed. Like you would actually, the way the economy worked, you would lose. Because remember, these tanks are the old tanks where they had way less damage. So if you made tanks, initially people did that, but then if you made tank marine, you would get literally killed by mass links, nothing else. Their 2-2 upgrades were generally much quicker than yours, kind of like PvT these days, and you would just get completely wrecked. Your marines would do no damage, and then your siege tank would just crap on your marines just as much as on his units as well. Okay, so I got a sick drop here. Worker supply 58 for me, amazing. He had 81 drones. I mean, if you look, this game wasn't like terrible for me, but still, like, look how far behind I was in supply. This is, guys, this is the... Oh yeah, and in Wings you have to research siege tank mode. Yeah, look, I'm researching it now. I don't have it yet. Look at that fungal, dude. So broken. Look at that. And you can't even move with that fungal. You can't dodge it, you can't move, can't do shit. My supply is going down. Siege mode research, PogChamp. Sieges were good against roaches, but not against lings. Okay, he's punching through. I'm calm. I'm collected. Oh, I'm making 4 siege things now. PogChamp. Where are all my factories? I just became siege tank god. all of a sudden. See, that's the thing. I don't have enough replays to know is if this is what I did every game, or is this what I did against... I think this is what I did against people that I knew were doing the Ling Infestor, which is everyone. So I killed his third, I killed his fourth with that drop. And my third is forfeit. 25 SCVs. Wow. Like we're back full circle from infestors to infestors. Amazing. I was dying to infestors in 2012 and I'm dying to infestors in 2019. Some things never change. Do you think top GM back in 2012 is equivalent to Master 1 skill? I would say probably worse. Maybe like Master 3, honestly. Like again, IdrA and I were like rank 1, 2, 3 GM. You can see like people didn't really creep spread. I mean they did, right? I denied creep. But another reason is like, yeah, people were overall worse, but also queens were much worse. Queens had like 3 range against melee units. So yeah, they weren't great. And one thing that sometimes when I like show people these games, which is like, you know, happens once in 3 years, people are like, whoa, how weren't people better? Well, they weren't better because the game was new. Everything was new. Everything that I'm doing right now, I mostly figured out on my own. Whether it's build or that marine push initially or building placement, everything you figured out. People didn't even wall off when StarCraft II came out because it's like, you know? And then you lose to Lings and you're like, well, maybe I can wall. And then people started walling off their natural and stuff like that. So those things, when you start from 0, they take time to evolve. But yeah, like just making units was so hard because it was the only RTS that had this kind of production. The ultras come. Look at the ultras, dude. They're so garbage in wings. I mean, they don't have the chitinous plating yet, but they're so bad compared to these ultras. They're like Terminators. Look at that, 35 SCVs. I'm slowly coming. 90 supply versus max out. Now, IdrA was known for sometimes not finishing a game. Like, he would have the lead and he would just play defensive because he would play with that thing like when you're ahead, get more ahead. And, you know, players of today would just push and kill me. Like the very experienced player. Look at that fungal, dude. Bullshit. Insta-fungal. And you can't move. You can't pick up because they're stuck. They're not stunned, but they're stuck in place. So yeah, IdrA was known for like getting ahead and not being able to, or not being able, but just not attacking. He would just play passive, or he would see like a planetary and siege and be like, ah, I don't want to risk losing. But so I saw that he has ultras, so I'm just like mass producing tanks, like just cranking out like 2 to 4 tanks at the same time. And what I'm trying to do with these drops is just buy time so I can get enough tanks. And I remember like thinking process at this point, because there's Broodlords as well, right? Thinking process is, for me in this situation, even today, would be, well, I'm so far ahead, so I'm gonna just make mass tanks and hope that he doesn't have Broodlords. Because I'm not in situation to make army that counters both. I have to like fully go on trying to, you know, counter one of them. And Broodlords were actually not the greatest thing back in the day, because Ghosts were really good back in the day as well. Ghosts were different. The snipes were instant. Like, pew, 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 pew. They dealt way less damage, but they were instant. So you could actually do more damage than snipes these days. Because snipes these days, it's very hard to get him off. And actually kill stuff. But you can see I'm creeping up in supply. I'm like dropping 2-3 places at the same time, denying creep. You know, just buying time. Just buying time. Look at that fungal. Boop. Nope, it doesn't fungal. Dude, this map, back in the day, people were like, whoa, this is such a big map. But now, like, this would be such a garbage map for the Zerg. Like, no Terran would ever lose against Zerg on this map these days. But back in the day, this was like, it was a normal map. It was quite a big map. Like, it was like, how do you hold your 5th base as Terran? Like, it's so far away, even though it's like right there. And these bases on the middle, you guys see like on the like middle left and middle right, like no one ever took those bases. But if I was playing now, I would take that as my 5th and just hold that attack from that position. But again, the gameplay was not there. You know, the way people thought was not that good. Look at that creep spread, 28 minutes. Oh, by the way, so this might be like a little confusing. It's 28 minutes into the game, but this was back when if you played on faster, the game time would actually run faster. So if you look, we're 20 minutes into this VOD, but it's 28 minutes into the game. So it just, time ran fast. Oh my god, look at those siege tanks, dude. I was so brave. Look at that stimming. Getting those over. Oh my god, Brutalor's popping off. Oh my god, those fungals. Ugh. Oh, look at the siege tanks though. Look at the siege tanks though. Amazing. He's making 12 Ultralisks. Oh, and this is something IdrA did so much. Like, this is where you make Corruptors and Broodlords. Oh, but I just killed Greater Spire. But this is where you just make... See, he never scouted, so you never knew that I have that many tanks. But if he knew, this is where you just make a bunch of Broodlords and that's it. Dude, look at these tanks. Oh my god, infestors. Give me a clutch scan. Clutch scan. Clutch scan. Scan. Oh my god, look at this. Oh no, he just lost all the infestors. Unsieging the tanks. This is back when infested Terrans wouldn't win you the game. And IdrA has left the game. Honestly, when I played against IdrA, like whether it was ladder or practice, like he would GG like 99% of the time. Yeah, but that was IdrA. I mean, this game honestly is over because he has pure ultra. And guys, you might think like, well, man, 15 ultras can take that army. Not in wings. They were not that great. When was rapid fire discovered? It was used in wings. It was used at the end of the wings. I remember MVP was using mass snipes versus Broodlords. That's when I saw it the first time, and it was heavily used in HOTS by Zergs. But yeah, this is one of the games, guys. Again, we can do a couple of more in the future. I would love to hear your input if this is something you enjoy. You know, me giving you a little story and you know, background, and then say where the game was. Some of the other games, me versus Nerchio, me versus Namshar, this is more recent. Me versus Euthermal, Hero Marine, me in Clan Wars, me versus Showtime, me in QXC, not XQC. But yeah, let me know, please. I would love to hear your opinion. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comment. What would you like to see next? I'll bookmark these. You guys saw the options, or you can also suggest some of your own games that you would like to see. That's it. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. For you guys on Twitch, hold up.